Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. His name is Chris Morehouse. Mr. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. How are you today?
I'm perfectly fine. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much, sir. Firstly, you hold a master in public and international affairs, and you also serve as a deacon, which is a very great job. I would like to ask, can you discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, sir?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I trained uh, I focused on African development in graduate school
Mm,
at the University of Pittsburgh and expected to work in something like the Peace Corps or in an NGO upon graduation. My
mm,
life took a different turn. I'm grateful for that. Uh, uh, And at the time, though, as part of my graduate studies, while I was at university, I met students from Mali,
mm.
Tanzania, Nigeria,
Wow.
and it opened up, new worlds for me. And at that time, I started collecting books of African proverbs, um, which I saved every time we moved. It was a small collection, but I go back and I peruse them occasionally and never let them go. And then about 7 or 8 years ago, I came across a series of books that compared the great faith traditions uh, on themes like what does each say about forgiveness or
Yeah.
compassion or some similar themes. But that series did not have an African volume, and I thought there should be.
Mm.
And yes, I also serve as a deacon at Shepherdstown Presbyterian Church in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, which is a lovely, lovely group of people. I'm
That's
honored to play a small part there.
Yeah, that's very great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris. And I'm also personally happy that you have this African proverb, African heritage that shows you know more about the African culture, which makes me so happy for you to be a guest on my show. Thank you so much for having the interest, sir. And I would like to go to
Yeah.
your book, Mr. Chris. Can you discuss more on your book, which is Legacy, Wisdom of African Traditions and the Bible, sir?
Sure. It was published in August 2023. I'd spent about 5 or 6 years working on it when I first got the idea to put it together. Um, Even though I had these books of proverbs and I looked at websites where I found the proverbs, I stand outside these traditions. So I wanted to reach out and get some corroboration, get some consultants, if you will. So I engaged about 30 African collaborators
Wow.
from all around the continent to help me, help corroborate. Is this really a proverb in your culture? How is it used? For example, is it used with children? And are there any language issues that would enrich our understanding of English? And there was such an outpouring of generous, gracious, enthusiastic collaboration. This is a great project. I'd like to help. I had to turn people away. I, I hated to do that. In some for almost all the cultures, I use more than one consultant. For example, so there's a rich vein of Nigerian
Wow.
the proverbs in the book from different cultures, and for the uh, for the Yoruba, for example, I had four Yoruba collaborators, and it was
Wow.
just to get different perspectives. So I was unable to get consultants for all the cultures and groups and traditions mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
But for the large ones, and even for places like Rwanda, I had two collaborators. So I had a Swahili collaborator, had Zulu collaborators. It was just a deep, deep joy. And people were so generous and supportive and said, "Here are other proverbs for you. Here are other verses for you." And it was a blessing. I was so grateful for that.
Completely agree, Mr. Chris. You know, we always have energy in Africa. We do have that, and we are always happy when we see people from outside the country are trying to, do something for us. We are always happy for that. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris. And I'm also glad you know my people, which are the Yoruba people in Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir. Because I'm so glad. Um, and I would like to go to the point of wisdom and values, sir. Like, in what ways do you think African traditions and Bible complement each other in terms of wisdom and values, sir?
Well, there is surprising overlap.
Okay.
Some people may be surprised to find one of the Yoruba proverbs that stands out that is so
Mm.
beautiful to me is a Yoruba proverb: "The wealth that enslaves is not wealth,"
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Um, which is profound, and it's a
Yes.
lovely use of paradox. The wealth that is not wealth. What is that? And uh, and that aligns with all the warnings in the Bible about beware of all forms of greed. You know, so there were other examples that just jumped out at me, and that I thought people should know about. There's an Ovambo proverb. The Ovambo are a group from Namibia, and it is so profound, and it's eyes see me too. Eyes see me, which is exactly the idea of seeing the beam in your own
Hmm.
eye and not focusing on the mote in somebody else's. See me too. And there's such humility in that, and such which is the basis for any kind of growth or spiritual emotional development. See me too. Look at myself, self scrutiny. Um, so it just it's profound and yet and very short and encapsulates so much wisdom. Um, uh, the There are I may have missed a few, uh,
Yes.
but there are a number of African parallels to the Golden Rule, like do unto others. All the major faith traditions have expressed the Golden Rule in some way or another. Um, I found at least seven African versions of the Golden Rule, and there's one that jumps out at me from Madagascar, um, and that is if you know what hurts yourself, you know what hurts others,
Hmm.
right? And I had a lovely collaborator, two from Malagasy language speakers, and one was a woman who said the word you that it gets translated into English as hurt in the version that you found means pinch in Malagasy. And yes, this one is used with children. So putting those things together, I hear a mother's voice in that proverb. Don't pinch somebody. You know what a pinch feels like.
Yes.
You know it's got the tenderness of a mother's voice, the firmness of a mother's voice, but it's still a version of do unto others that people should know about. There's a Swahili proverb from West Africa. I mean, yeah, from East Africa. Pardon me. There is so much wisdom among the Swahili proverbs, and I drew from University of Chicago collection of Swahili proverbs. Um, Love should be in truth, and truth should be in love,
Hmm.
which is a beautiful companion to Paul's love rejoices in the truth.
Yes.
So putting those things together offers an opportunity for reflection and and growth, I think, and a mutual appreciation. Um, the there's the Wolof in West Africa, in Senegal, have a stunningly beautiful proverb. If there is cause to hate someone, the cause for love has just begun,
Mm.
which is probably
That's
the
huge.
most beautiful. Pardon?
I said that's huge.
It's huge. Yes, it's probably the most beautiful, the most striking expression of loving your enemy that I have come across. To imagine that anyone is a potential friend, maybe down the road, maybe eventually, but anyone is a potential friend. The cause for love has just begun. There's just such a profound respect for others in that proverb. And I thought people should be acquainted with all these rich wisdom traditions. And so I don't know a lot, but I found about 300 African proverbs from all these different peoples that align with different Bible verses across 46 different themes. Um, so I'm just really proud of it and just feeling blessed by all the support and collaboration with all my African partners. I'm just I can't say enough. They really brought it to life and offered me opportunities to reflect on things I didn't know about. So I thought, this is really important. And one thing that stood out, um, you know, if you look at in Proverbs 8, um, we meet a personified spirit of wisdom, sometimes called Lady Wisdom. It's a personified feminine spirit of wisdom.
Yes.
And she says, I stand at the city gate. She goes on for a bit. And she says, those who find me find life, and those who fail to find me will harm themselves.
Wow.
In other words, you're going to learn the hard way. you know, um, and that very idea is embedded in so many of the African proverbs. You're going to harm yourself if you don't appreciate this. There's a one example of this is the Swahili proverb: "Hatred burns its preserver." How you know if you let yourself become a vessel for hate, container for hate,
Yes.
you're going to hurt yourself. And I pair that with anyone who does not love remains in death, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So, and the shortest proverb in the book, it's similar, also Swahili, um, anger, loss, which is a beautiful companion to Paul's "In your anger, do not sin." The my Swahili partner, collaborator, explained that in Swahili it's hasira hasara. So when you translate to English, you lose some rhythm, you lose some alliteration,
Yes.
and also the second word hasara means both loss and damage. And both are true. If you are not careful with your anger, you can cause loss and damage for yourself and for others. So, you're gonna hurt yourself if you don't listen. And somehow these little gems reflect, all this accumulated wisdom that I feel has been overlooked, at least in the West. And uh, I wanted to get the word out a little bit.
Yes. Hmm. Mr. Chris, I want to personally thank you so much for this explanation. This proverb all over Africa are so powerful and they also relate with, biblical concept. Thank you so much, sir. And in the world that we are today, technology has improved a lot. A lot of things have grown and it's even grew very, 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 very fast. I would like to go to the points of our youth of today. Like, how do you think the modern African society can also reconnect with this traditional and biblical concepts of legacy, sir?
Oh my goodness, that's a very big question.
Okay.
I don't know enough about
Mm.
how African societies can reconnect
Oh,
to their own traditions. You know, I've been told by some of my collaborators, oh yes, in their international meetings, African diplomats sometimes cite Proverbs, right? Um, so perhaps there's some opportunity there, but I see also an opportunity um, for those outside Africa. Is I during one presentation, for example, uh, I, someone said, "This is really great. I didn't know about this. Chris, you should go to Africa."
yeah.
And I said, as much as I would love to do that, and maybe I will, I think a key audience for this is here in this country, in the United States.
Mm,
You know, because people don't know about it, and for some reason, you know, African wisdom is consistently overlooked. There, getting back to the golden rule, there's a poster that you sometimes see in American houses of worship with the golden rule from different traditions, large ones and small ones, but you never find an African example on that poster. There, I came across a book that said, yeah, the golden rule appears in like 21 different faith traditions around the world.
yeah.
Um, and when you look up the footnote or the end note about that to support that, they when they list the sources they looked at, they also leave out Africa. I mean, I was tired of that. So you know, maybe 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 in holy boldness or just common regular foolish boldness, I said, you know, it's people have to know about this.
No problem, sir. I'm so happy and even honored to have you on this show. It meant a lot to me. Thank you so much, sir. And let's go to the point of the future generations, sir. Like, what do you hope the future generations will learn from the book you've written, which is Legacy, about honoring their heritage and spiritual beliefs, sir?
There's a famous American religious writer, Brian McLaren, who graciously endorsed the book, who said in one of his previous books, said, once you learn something from another tradition that reminds you of something in your own, you've begun to build a bridge. And, you know, I think that is so much needed today. Where there's more bridge building instead of, you know, division. There's another Swahili proverb that comes into play. It is better to build bridges than walls. And I just hope this will support bridge building and recognizing wisdom from diverse sources, from all traditions. And it's important, and I keep saying in the book, it's important to remember that each of these traditions in itself is this vast treasury, right? The 7 or 8, maybe more, Yoruba proverbs reflect an enormous wealth that is just only we only get a glimpse of in this book, and that and there's a I this I indicate in an appendix, you know, there's a book of Yoruba wisdom that people can explore on more on their own, but each of these is worth exploring on its own. This is just a taste of, you know, some points of convergence that help us build bridges, I think.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris. And I would like to, ask what aspects of the African tradition and also the Bible you feel still needs more understanding, if there is any, sir.
Another another vast question. I really like the big questions. There what needs more understanding? In the Bible, there are many stories and um, characters and scriptures that pertain to a particular time and place, um, that and cultural interpretation has come into its own in the last 30 years. To understand and respect the culture of the Holy Land at that time, and how it affected what we're reading about, and what did it mean then and what might it mean now. So there are some very challenging passages that I won't get into. That's not the purpose of the book, this book. Um, Again, what needs more understanding on the African side is just it's more appreciation
Mm,
of the richness here, more acknowledgement that this is something that's been overlooked. I think there's so much that could benefit us.
mm,
Um, and it's interesting too because um, there most of the other books that I referred to before that compare, across the great faith traditions, um, like Christianity to Judaism, related traditions, Christianity to Islam, you are you know, they each are looking at a specific religion. When you look at Africa, of course, it's multiple religions. It's where all the Abrahamic traditions meet, right?
yes,
Christianity, Islam, and there are Jewish communities all over the continent.
yes.
But you also have vibrant traditional religions that continue today. So to some extent, you can get um, there are some proverbs in the book that reflect this, but the proverbs were not selected for because they represent a specific religious tradition. Although some clearly do. There's a beautiful Ethiopian proverb: singing Alleluia everywhere does not prove piety.
Mm,
Right, right. It says it all right there. Um, but there's a counterpart from Swahili culture and Swahili. There are, of course, Swahili Christians today, but it was a traditionally Muslim culture, um, uh, tied to the Sultanate of Oman for about 100 years. And there's a counterpart to that idea from Swahili tradition. Closing the eyes and prostrating is not praying. Praying is in the heart. It's not it's not the prayer is in the heart. It's not your posture. It's not what you wear. There's another one. The fear of God, also Swahili. The fear of God is not wearing a white turban. It's
wow.
not wearing flowing robes and wishing to be seen in the marketplace. So
Mm,
you get an appreciation for these ideas um, in a traditionally Christian
mm,
culture like Ethiopia, as well as a counterpart from a traditionally Muslim culture like the Swahili culture.
mm,
So you can build bridges that way too.
mm. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris. These are really, really good places, Swahili, and those are really great places. Thank you so much, sir. And lastly, there's a question I normally ask, sir. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, if there is anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, sir?
If there's anything I'd like to bring back
Mm,
to our time today. Well, there's the Akan idea of Sankofa, right?
yes.
Which means go back and get it, right? Which can mean look to the past, you know. To go forward, look to the past. To understand where we're going, uh, an appreciation of Proverbs can still help guide you.
Yes, and I completely agree. I remembered when I was really young, proverb was what our parents used to train us. They will let us know this proverb to let us understand. Some proverb they will say it, someone has to that's it takes time for someone to understand what that proverb is all about. Those things really help us during our own time. And I also hope in the coming future it will definitely happen. A lot of things are happening today. And I'm also glad that someone is also trying his best to, do something to gather this thing, and seeing it in the biblical time means a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris, for this opportunity, for the time, for the interest. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm honored by the conversation, and I thank you for the invitation.
Have a wonderful day, sir. Bye bye.
You as well. Take care. Thank you.